Hi everybody, welcome to video 13, Coping, Two Key Components. Let's dive into the two components of coping that we need and that are such an intricate part of life. How do we process things inside? What feelings do we need to experience when something unexpected or difficult befalls us? We get to find compassion and empathy for ourselves, even if it's something that we've done or we feel is our fault. Our inner dialogue, or how we talk to ourselves, can make this difficult. Those voices and thoughts internally that weigh in on what we do and how we do it can shut us down. Shame is the ultimate shutdown. As we let go of judgments and learn curiosity, compassion can flourish. That was dumb can turn into, I wonder why I did that. Even finding humor in the little mistakes we make. Whoops, I could have done that differently. I'll think about what I want to do instead, and we'll try that next time. Letting us learn and explore ways that we want our interactions to shift or look in a different way. There's freedom that comes in that, and those are a different set of options. As we regulate feeling states within ourselves, we can then do what has to be done, if anything, from a more balanced state. This process is the first form of coping, internal coping. Our behavior and outward interaction is the second form of coping. What did we learn in childhood about sharing or verbalizing our problems? Asking for support or what we need? How did mom or dad or our primary caregiver cope? Chances are we can find ourselves coping in similar ways. Can we connect to others in crisis? How do we deal with conflict? Overall, do we have more tendencies to connect and bond when things are hard? Or do we take more of an isolatory approach, creating distance and space? Now, not all distance and space is isolatory. Sometimes we can find solitude in that. I'd encourage you to think, if you're one of those people that takes space, is this me taking some solitude, or is this me isolating and pushing away the world? Now, if we push away, when do we reconnect? Did we feel we could take up space and that we had a place in our world? A place in our world now or in the past? In our family of origin? At school, with friends? Where we could have our needs met and ask for what we needed, ask for help? Where we were parented, loved, and listened to? Or did we find ourselves in any of these areas trying to hide, to not need anything, not taking up space or making waves? Did the needs of others trump ours? If any of these ring true, give yourself permission to explore it. Perhaps you jot down some thoughts and responses. Maybe you think on it and let it be a subject you make some appointments with, to provide yourself with moments you can feel and explore. We can change destructive or less productive copings. Hooray! It can be done. We can also keep evolving, growing options for our coping. Let's go into an example. What if we're typically reactive and we grew up in a house that was? Perhaps others have described us or our family of origin as overreactors. If we find ways to shift that, becoming more aware of any anxiety and what happens right before we become reactive, we're empowered to change. If we learn new ways to intervene on that process, like mindful tools of taking a breath before responding, or calling a timeout and grounding ourselves, Sometimes we need a little bit of time to think and process before we continue that conversation or revisit it. A new result or interaction can happen if we change some of these patterns. It can take some work, and awareness starts with after, then during, then before. Now, after we do something, we realize it happened, and that happens for a while, especially as our awareness grows. Then it moves to during, where we can stop and intervene and do something new in that moment, or as we're doing it. Eventually, before kicks in, where we find ourselves building to that typical reaction and can stop it before it starts, empowering us to change the way we interact. Now, with all of this, there lies the importance of support. Sometimes therapy intervention is needed, and supportive connection often helps as well with people in your life that are safe, that get you. Get what you need by hiring out and reaching out when you need to those safe spaces. Now let's jump into the 3 F's: fight, flight, or freeze. There is a 4th F, but we'll get to that some other time. These primal copings come up in stressful situations. Our brain says, I'm not safe, and which of these am I going to pick to survive? We survived thus far as a species. Now let's reconnect with us in our intimate world, moving into thriving, higher order thinking, and living, not just surviving. Everyone goes into survival mode at times in their life. As Maslow explains, we have to be physically taken care of. So if we think of his triangle, down here on the bottom is physical needs. And those have to be taken care of before we're able to move to the next stage, a little bit up from that, which is safety. And we have to feel safe in order to move into feeling love. And from there, esteem. And how we feel about ourselves. And then self-actualization, which again falls into that higher order thinking. It's neurologically programmed into us that when times get tough or when our systems sense threat, to get primal and primitive in our brains. Survival mode. Now moving into our authenticity and living at a fuller energy frequency and doing it quicker each time is the goal. We don't stay in any state permanently. As we carve paths to how we need to regulate and feel and repeatedly access them, we pave the way for an easier trek each time. We learn it's doable, and these corrective experiences give us options. Treat yourself right. As a friend, continually making things right within you and responding with love, even in the hard times. Take up space and make it yours. In your relationships, have needs and share them. Have conflict resolution options. You're meant to live this life as you. It is your life after all. Thanks for joining in on this video.